Today I'm exposing bodybuilding's biggest nerds. You're probably thinking to yourself, these guys are massive, they can't be nerds. Well, nerds actually take different forms. Some are computer science majors, or League of Legends pros, or Comic-Con connoisseurs. But if they don't fall under those categories, they pursue bodybuilding. And the two biggest bodybuilding nerds that come to mind are Jeff Nippard and Renaissance Periodization, or Dr. Michael Israetel. Although they are nerds, I have learned in my life that you need nerds for certain things.
Nothing wrong with being a virgin and a nerd.
And recently, these two geeks came together and released a semi-viral video where they rated popular fitness topics as underrated or overrated. And I saw these two dorks having a fun conversation, so I decided to hop in as the third wheel. So I'll be reacting to their video and giving my take on these popular fitness topics.
In this video, I'm ranking 19 controversial fitness topics as either overrated or underrated. And for some extra scientific credibility, this time I'm pulling in exercise scientist Dr. Mike Israetel, who not only has a PhD in sport physiology, but is a competitive bodybuilder himself.
I like how he stated that Dr. Michael Israetel is a competitive bodybuilder like it's some kind of flex, when in reality it just confirms even more that he's a nerd. If I blasted steroids too, I could be a competitive bodybuilder. But since I'm humble, I'm not insecure, I didn't have the courage to pin the needle. And fair play to Dr. Michael Israetel, he has a PhD in sports physiology. But there are some problems, because firstly, bodybuilding isn't a fucking sport. And how can you have a PhD in sports physiology and still perform the worst squat variation I've ever seen? I literally lost respect for this guy because he was squatting with 2 belts on, wrist straps, and squat shoes for a Smith machine squat. But then I decided to be nice and realized that he did need both belts, one to cover his steroid gut and the other for his weak ass core. And he nonstop brags about his degree in exercise science. As in every one of his videos, he puts exercise scientist does blah blah blah. I have a bachelor's of science in exercise science, yet my ego is very small because I'm very humble, so I don't put exercise scientist does this because I'm not an arrogant douchebag. And Dr. Mike and Jeff Nippard were flexing their huge muscles, right? But what's actually surprising is I didn't know that Mike Israetel was the same height as Jeff Nippard. I think Jeff Nippard's like 5'4". I thought Dr. Mike was for 6 foot for some reason, so I guess he's not as big as I thought he was. So I did lose a little respect for his physique, but hey, he's a huge bodybuilder. I guess you can respect that, right? And before moving on, let's rate these two nerds' physiques. Honestly, in terms of aesthetics, I'd say they're both pretty low. I'll give Michael a 2 of 10 and Jeff a 4 of 10. I give them both +1 points because they don't have much body hair, and most of you don't really realize how much of an impact that ends up having on your physique. Which is why I'm excited to announce that Manscaped is sponsoring today's video. And I get the pleasure to show off the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. This luxury grooming kit includes the famous Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Groin and Body Hair Trimmer, the Weed Whacker 2.0 Ear and Nose Hair Trimmer, Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion, Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, and 2 free gifts, their Boxers 2.0 and Shed 2.0 travel bag. The Lawnmower Ultra gives you more grooming flexibility than ever before with their next-gen dual skin-safe blade heads. Firstly, the trimmer blade, which has the newly improved skin-safe blade that has longer, wider, and rounded teeth that cut through hair with ease. And the foil blade for those who prefer a clean, bare look, as the new skin-safe foil shaving blade complements the trimmer blade head, providing you with the option for a smooth finish. It also has a new and improved LED spotlight, which offers high visibility for shaving the darkest corners, and even contains a new dual temperature. And today they're offering my viewers an awesome deal. Get the Lawnmower Ultra 5.0 for 20% off plus free shipping when you use promo code Coach Mario at manscaped.com. Once again, get the Lawnmower Ultra 5.0 for 20% off plus free shipping with promo code Coach Mario at checkout at manscaped.com.
And we'll be covering 3 categories: training, nutrition, and hot fitness topics. Here we go.
The first category is training, cheat reps, also known as ego lifting.
Go first.
It is a journey without an end or a purpose. End up having a higher probability of injury, a lower probability of stimulating the target muscle.
I actually disagree with both of them here. I actually think that cheat reps are underrated because they're rated so low anyway. Dr. Michael says that it does increase injury risk, but that only applies if you're training like Sam Sulek. I personally love incorporating some cheat reps in my routine at the end of sets, particularly with the bicep curl, where I'm able to eccentrically overload my biceps. And you can see here I'm doing it in a safe and controlled manner. If you don't do it this way and you just do it to ego lift or lift more weight, then yeah, of course your injury risk is gonna be a lot higher.
I agree that they're overrated. I think for the most part, people should use good technique. I would argue that on certain exercises, for example, bicep curls, if doing a little bit of cheating and slight momentum allows you to get another rep and then you control the eccentric, that might be an extra controlled eccentric that you wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't used that little bit of momentum.
Hey, Jeff said exactly what I just said. Maybe me and Jeff Nippard can be friends, unlike me and Dr. Michael.
So I think that they can have some value, but I would still say overall, mostly overrated.
Muscle soreness.
Be an indication that the muscle you were trying to hit was in fact stimulated. But I think a lot of people are under the impression that if you didn't get sore, that means you didn't have a good workout or you didn't grow muscle, which is definitely not true. And in that sense, I would say it's overrated.
I think it's become fashionable lately in the evidence-based community to say that soreness is overrated, or more specifically that soreness doesn't really mean anything and that soreness is only a side effect of novelty. I think that fails on about 7 or 8 logical grounds. When you do more volume, more intensity, proper progression, when you come closer to failure, when you generate a lot of metabolites, when you focus on the eccentric, when you train along muscle lengths, all of those things tend to cause more soreness. And to me, that sounds like a very, very close link causatively to hypertrophy. It's okay if you're not getting sore, but if you're not progressing and you feel like you're understimulating, trying to get sore is probably a good idea. And if you're getting sore, you have 99 problems, but stimulus is not one.
Okay, that was a little cringe, but hey, you said some factual things. However, I'm gonna side with Jeff Nippard here, and I think that muscle soreness is overrated. I love how Jeff Nippard said it can be a good indicator that you had a great workout, but it's not the end all be all. I played soccer in high school and do MMA now, and I'll get sore after particular workouts, which are just doing the sport. But does that mean I'm building muscle? No, of course not. And when I do a new workout in a new block of training in my actual hypertrophy or bodybuilding workouts, I'll get way more sore than my workouts prior. I'm using the same bodybuilding and strength conditioning principles in that workout, but it's just a new stimulus that my body isn't used to. So yeah, I'll end up getting more sore. I'm giving you these examples because I've noticed that a new stimulus can cause a lot of muscle soreness even without the intent of building more muscle. But it does prove that strength and conditioning principle that you should be changing your workouts every 4 to 6 weeks because your body gets a new stimulus which will promote growth. That's what I do in my workout programs, and if you want to change your body and look aesthetic in just 90 days, click the link in the description because I'll have you looking like Leon Edwards in no time. So again, check out that link in the description after this video. Dr. Michael loves the evidence-based community, which in my opinion is complete BS. My brother made a video going over exactly why this is BS in his Optimal Bodybuilders workout because some of these research studies are complete BS. Most people don't know that these research studies on bodybuilding and resistance training have tons of flaws.
Exercise science studies often struggle to find a sample of people who are representative of the typical trainee. Many studies use untrained subjects who are notoriously sensitive to any growth stimulus. For someone who has never lifted weights, cardio actually builds muscle. And on the other hand, there is a massive dearth of accomplished lifters represented in research with almost no studies done on elite bodybuilders.
Bodybuilding research studies often can't take into account outside variables that will impact their conclusion and the results of their study. And what I mean by outside variables are things like genetics, training, diet, sleep, things like that. And that's just one of the problems. Most people just read the title, abstract, and conclusion rather than read the actual study, which will say something completely different. For example, in this study, which suggests that machines are just as good as free weights for developing athletic performance, a ton of bodybuilders took the title and ran with it without reading the actual study, which if you read, you would realize that what they define as athletic performance is completely bullshit. Fitness influencers are gonna find studies that fit their agenda. And the last thing I'm gonna say about this is that research studies don't prioritize subjective matters. If you're someone like me who doesn't really feel their forearms working in a wrist curl, but prefers a farmer carry where I'm using my forearms as grip, you should use the farmer carry to grow your forearms in spite of what the research might say.
Training each muscle only once a week, also known as a bro split.
There are better ways to train than training one muscle group once a week. I think you should train muscles when they recover. That generally occurs anywhere between every day or 2 times a week.
Yeah, I agree. A little bit of devil's advocate. The latest frequency research does show that a bro split is a viable approach, but I would say it's probably not the optimal approach.
Don't spend 2 hours per workout 5 days in the gym to do a perfectly fine approach. No one in here in the gym right now wants perfectly fine. They want jack.
I completely disagree. I believe that bro splits are very underrated in the fitness community, particularly because people shit on them all the time. When I was a beginner, I actually started with the bro split and it worked pretty well for me. However, when training beginners, the bro split still isn't ideal, as based on the NSCA Essentials of Strength Training and Conditioning textbook, which is my favorite book, and fun fact is actually on Jeff Nippard's desk when he's recording, states that when you're an intermediate lifter, it actually might be one of the best workout splits for you. However, if you're a beginner lifter who's never lifted before, I'll leave a link to my beginner program, which is designed for beginners, because beginners and intermediates do have to train a little differently, as your body needs to get accustomed to the training stress of lifting weights, developing motor coordination, learning how to do exercises, and overall learning how to stay consistent in the gym. The bro split based on recovery is the best thing you can do because you have a whole entire week to recover your muscle group before hitting it again, which sure is overkill, but I'd rather overkill my recovery than underkill it.
What about training to failure?
So I think overrated. I think that the research shows that there's not a huge difference in terms of hypertrophy or strength if you go all the way to failure or if you stop a couple reps shy. I think people think going to failure is super, super important. And I think you have to know what failure feels like, but I do think overall it's overrated and not as important as a lot of bodybuilders think.
Agreed, and I would add that most of the people that are saying that failure is super important are coming from an egotistical perspective in which they need to emotionally drain themselves in the gym, and it's more cathartic and psychological and less to do with what gets optimal results.
Nice.
Hey, look at that. I agree with the optimal bodybuilders that training to failure is overrated. Training to failure isn't necessary according to a majority of the research, but I like what Jeff Nippard said, and I always recommend this. You should train to failure semi-consistently just so you know what true failure really is. Because of Mike Mentor's advice of super low volume with super high intensity where you train to failure all the time, people think this is a viable option just because he sounds articulate and you don't have to spend as much time in the gym. But when you're training for hypertrophy, you want to balance volume with intensity. And when you train to failure all the time, you cannot do that. And I'd even say train to failure all the time actually hurts your total workout volume. So leaving a couple reps in reserve allows you to balance volume and intensity. And I actually do love what Dr. Michael said. A lot of people train to failure to satisfy their ego. And it gives them a psychological benefit of thinking they pushed themselves to the max, so they must have built maximal muscle growth. When in reality, they probably did not.
Okay, so I'm here editing this video now, and I kind of want to update my answer just a little bit. There's a brand new meta-analysis that did find that on average, training to failure was better for muscle growth than not training to failure. That doesn't mean that every set you do needs to be taken to failure, but I would say it's important. If you don't take any sets to failure, I would say you are leaving gains on the table. If I had to update my answer, training to failure is properly rated to slightly overrated. Hey. Mike. In our last video, you said you thought training to failure was overrated. I'm just wondering if you'd want to update that.
Yes, training to failure is even more overrated. Probably more overrated than ever because of that recent meta-regression that came out that said that training to failure was superior for hypertrophy, but it turns out that's only the case if you train with very low volumes, you're not trying very hard, you're smaller, you're weaker, and you don't train very often. If you train a lot and you're really serious and you're really trying, in that very study, they say training to failure has no advantage. And because most people didn't read the study, almost no one read the study, I guess, then it's more overrated than ever.
All right, I'm gonna ignore Dr. Michael doing a hack squat with the belt on because right now is not the time or place. But this goes back to my point about evidence-based or optimal bodybuilding, that this research study contradicts the one that they were kind of referencing in the first part of their failure analysis. As this comes down to people don't read the fucking study. I'm not saying I always read the study because I don't have time for that shit, but I'm not faking like I did. And listen to what Dr. Michael said. Listen to all the scenarios that must be present for failure to maximize your muscle growth.
But it turns out that's only the case if you train with very low volumes, you're not trying very hard, you're smaller, you're weaker, and you don't train very often.
I wish they asked if bodybuilding studies are overrated or underrated, because I'd say they're overrated as hell. If you're a fan of my channel, believe me, you're to benefit far more than these optimal bodybuilders who are listening to this garbage as you focus more on movements than muscles, which in the long term will be far better for you.
Okay, the mind to muscle connection.
I think that people who prefer to talk about mind-muscle connection sometimes are right in a nuanced way, but often are doing a mind-muscle connection at the expense of good technique and a lot of load and the right movements and especially progression. So as long as your technique is good, you have progression, then mind-muscle connection becomes important, but it's very much a quaternary or tertiary variable.
I completely agree. You can get a good mind-muscle connection and not necessarily have a sufficiently stimulative set if you didn't push that set hard.
I'd actually say the mind-muscle connection is underrated. And they were both doing lateral raises, which I actually find is a good example. A lot of people when they do lateral raises think of bringing their arm up, which causes them to elevate their shoulders, so they use their traps more than their mid delt. But if you know anything about the mid delt, it abducts or gets your arm away from the body. So if you use the mind muscle connection correctly, you'll be focusing more on abducting your arms rather than just bringing the weight up, and you'll feel it far more in your mid delt. So when you focus on doing the muscle action, you end up feeling it more in the desired muscle group rather than the accessory muscle group. So if you're doing bicep curls, you want to focus on elbow flexion or curling your arm. I do find that you feel it more in that muscle group, which is why I do believe that it's underrated. If you focus on the muscle action, which is why it's important to know the body's anatomy, unlike these stupid ass bodybuilders, you will be able to target the desired muscle better and build more muscle and strength.
Let's start with dirty bulking.
I think dirty bulking can be fun. It can lead to strength gain, but overall it leads to vastly disproportionately more fat gain than it does muscle gain.
I mean, I have the stretch marks and loose skin to prove it. So I used to do it. I thought it was great. It was a lot of fun. It caused a lot of irreversible side effects. And I wish I would have stayed leaner, and it sure as shit would have gotten me laid more often in college.
You knew I was gonna say this, but dirty bulking is overrated as hell. And I'm glad these optimal bodybuilders are saying that it is. Dr. Michael went over it on how it has horrible effects, not only in the short term, but clearly the long term, as he has like stretch marks to show of it. And I also had a bad experience from it as well. All it does is like halt your progress for a certain period of time. But I do find that it's actually evil in the fitness industry, as people use it to hide their steroid use. Recent fitness influencer that outed his own steroid use, Dylan McKnight, hid his steroid use from the vast majority of people by doing a dirty bulk. But I'll address this topic a little later on, but there are two current fitness influencers who did or are doing the same thing, and that's Max Lucida and Alex Eubank. Alex Eubank did it early in his body transformation journey and defied Pokemon logic, which defines a natural transformation. Pokemon have 3 evolutions: the small one, the middle one, and the big one. And in the natural transformation, you hit all 3 of these points. But with Alex Eubank, he went from Squirtle to Blastoise. He was never anywhere near the middle. And Max is getting super fat right now, so he has a crazy cut. When the research shows that dirty bulks are actually worse for progress, as it barely maximizes muscle gain while maximizing your fat gain. But for these steroid users, it's a way to trick people saying, oh, he had a really successful bulk, rather than he hopped on a higher dosage of gear. Research shows it's bad, but steroid users can use it because if you're enhanced, anything will work for you.
1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Ooh, I'm gonna do the Jeff Nippard. It's just a little bit more than enough protein than you need for almost all cases. And because it's just a little bit more than enough, if you eat a relatively balanced diet, it obviates the need to pay high attention to protein quality. And it's a really easy number to remember.
I'll say properly rated as well. I like 1 gram per pound with the caveat that it is actually more than you need in almost all instances. When cutting, I would say 1 gram per pound is a good rule. When bulking, you probably only need like 0.7 or 0.8 grams per pound.
This is another one where my hardcore fans know this is overrated as hell, and honestly, I believe I made this even a conversation. Maybe my ego's that big, who knows? Who am I kidding? I'm the most humble fitness influencer, so obviously I'm correct on this one. Jeff Nippard did good about describing the protein intake necessary for bulking and cutting and gave relatively accurate numbers. But when you eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you're wasting calories. There is some research that did say that anything over 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight didn't lead to any more muscle gain, which is about 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. And if you're cutting, you want to be eating between 1.8 and 2.7 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And that comes from the NSCA's Essentials of Strength and Conditioning textbook. Dr. Mike said 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is easy to remember, so it's really nice. Yeah, you're right, because I forgot that. Just do the fucking math, multiply your body weight by 0.7, and just remember the fucking number.
How do you feel about pumps?
Okay, I'm gonna say properly rated. I think pumps are fun and they make training more enjoyable. They probably have some connection to hypertrophy, and I think people think that pumps are good and fun, and they are, so yeah, properly rated.
Sure. I just mean underrated, and I think pumps are great. And in the evidence-based space, I think pumps are underrated. Whether or not you got a really good pump is a good gauge of if the target muscle was hit, if it's the right place that they're getting pumped, and also a good gauge of volume.
There goes Dr. Michael making something more complex than it needs to be. But in terms of muscle pumps, I'm obviously going to agree with my boy Jeff here and say that they're properly rated. I love everything that Jeff said about how it can make training more fun, and for me, it helped me get motivated in the gym. The first time I saw a bicep vein was huge, and actually helped me stay consistent in the gym, because if you didn't already know, it took me like 2 years to really say I love the gym and I'm consistent at going to the gym. However, I say properly rated, not underrated, because of these mother shits. These weird gym bros took ED medication before going to the gym.
Today will be Soreness, first time ever trying out Tadalafil. I'm gonna drop it right in. Dude looks absolutely insane. Your genuine, honest thoughts on Tadalafil.
It works, okay, it's good.
Tadalafil is a vasodilator. That means it opens up the blood vessels. It's usually an ED medication, but bodybuilders can use it to get the best pumps of their life. It is relatively safe. The only side effect I have ever experienced was congestion and headache.
This just shows how stupid the bodybuilding community is nowadays. So you're telling me these guys took ED medication just to get a stupid pump? Imagine chasing the pump so bad, you do something dangerous for your body, like taking a Cialis. And this is not the only scenario of this, is a lot of people take pre-workouts that are way too crazy just to chase the pump. And because of bodybuilding's obsession with chasing the pump, I would say it's properly rated.
What about body recomposition, also known as recomping?
I think recomping is underrated because most people in the general population can very reasonably expect to build muscle while losing fat at the same time, even though a lot of people in fitness culture tend to say, oh, you need to cut in bulk. I don't think that's actually true for most people.
I think those are great and valid points. I'm coming at a slightly different perspective. Just because you can do something and it is effective doesn't mean there's not a better way to do it. Almost all goals that you could achieve with recomping, you could do better with dedicated cutting and bulking.
Well, hey, look at that. I actually agree with Dr. Michael here. Jeff Nippard says it's underrated, yet I find this problematic because no one you ever meet built their physique off of a body recomp. And what Dr. Michael said is completely correct. If you're doing a body recomp, it's like you're getting half-ass benefits because you're doing half-ass things. You kind of want to bulk and you kind of want to cut. The man who chases two rabbits catches neither. So you should either bulk, which I believe should be the majority of the time, or cut.
How do you feel about Natty or not videos?
From the creator's standpoint, I think they're overrated because I believe in innocent until proven guilty, and if you're just speculating on someone's natural status on scant evidence, then you could be hurting their reputation. From the viewer's standpoint, I don't think they actually give you any value.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is I think true natty or not journalistic approach, where someone who has made a real commitment to being drug-free and is lying about it, I think that's awesome. Exposing those frauds is a great thing, but natty or not videos are like when you've done zero research, you're just yelling at the camera and pretending you know things that you don't about anyone. And by the way, for context, I'm not natty.
Okay, I think Dr. Michael was taking a shot at me there. No, I'm just joking. I'm pretty sure he was talking about Greg Douchehead. But I'm pretty sure this is pretty universal that natty or nots are very overrated. And I'm speaking from the viewer perspective because I don't take steroids, but it doesn't really benefit you knowing if someone's natural or not. And yes, calling out frauds is actually very beneficial, but in my opinion, anyone who's on steroids is a fucking fraud. And they went into like these in-depth videos covered by More Place, More Dates or Greg Douchehead on natty or nots, like there's some experts, yet they got Dylan McKnight wrong because they both said he was natty.
But when you actually look at some of the footage of him in the gym and whatnot, to me, I'm leaning towards naturally achieved.
I don't think he's on PDs as of yet. Seems like a natural progression if a guy has amazing genetics.
And little old me got it spot on. Carb cycling is a trick made up by these fitness influencers to disguise the fact that they're on steroids. So if you're talking about an anabolic expert, it's not them, it's me. The thing with natty or nots, it provides no benefit for anyone except the creator. Alex Eubank literally has his whole career based off natty or nots. And I can tell you for a fact, I'm telling you 100%, Alex Eubank is not natural. You don't have testosterone levels in like the low 1% of people and then just jump up to like the top 99% of people in terms of testosterone. You don't jump that high. You don't go from old woman testosterone to Giga Chad testosterone. If you accept that Alex Eubank is on steroids or you're stupid enough to think that he's actually natural, then he wouldn't have a career, he's boring, and we can just leave him alone.
What do you think about the idea that natty training is completely different from enhanced training?
Who wrote these?
Yeah, it's just like a fiction designed by two people, one natties that need an excuse for why they're not getting jacked, and two drug-addicted idiots that think that they don't have to read science papers.
I disagree with them entirely that natty training is definitely different than enhanced training, which is why this is underrated. With my philosophy of training where you're not really focused on getting massive, but just looking good and being aesthetic, then this isn't really a problem for you. As you don't get jealous because you're not trying to look like these enhanced guys anyways, so you don't use it as an excuse. And then Dr. Mike says, these enhanced guys don't want to read science papers, which is true because these enhanced roid heads are typically uneducated and are idiots who needed a pin and needle to build muscle. But it's false because I hate that attitude for anybody. I focused more on reading textbooks rather than science papers, which caused me to be the leader of this new wave of healthy fitness. And it led me to focusing more on movements than muscles. Compare me, who reads textbooks, who does very simple but effective movements that are great for your health and your aesthetics, versus someone who reads papers, who's doing a squat with 2 belts on.
So for all intents and purposes, like training principles are training principles.
I disagree with this entirely, as enhanced and natural training are complete different ball games.
No way steroids are that overpowered. Yes, these are not perfect numbers, but when I threw up this chart showing a natural with just okay training, a natural with great training, steroid user with okay training, steroid user with great training, this is the way it works. Have you ever wondered why the really big gear users are often the ones to laugh at natural, science-based lifters? It's because here we are fighting over like 5 to 15 pounds of muscle mass when they know that they got that and more through just pinning.
Cold showers.
Research vetted way to reduce hypertrophy. If you think that they offer you an effect of that sort of shock therapy, waking you up and it being a sympathetic driver for part of your day, because sympathetic parasympathetic balance is really good, then you don't train hard enough. Go train.
Yeah, I think overrated. I feel like it's just a lot of hype with very, very little evidence.
Except for reduced hypertrophy.
Yeah, reduced hypertrophy. It does seem to definitely do that.
Hey, I agree with the two nerds that cold showers are overrated. I actually made a short on this recently that goes into depth on why I think this. Overall, I really like what Dr. Michael said. It's gonna reduce your hypertrophy, but a lot of people still don't really care that it does that. They want the mental and disciplinary benefits of a cold shower, as some people feel they need the cold shower to stir up their day to give them more energy. But Dr. Michael said if you need that, then you're low energy anyways, and you need to be training, which I agree with. When I wake up, all I want to do is train. So I get up out of bed, do my morning routine, and get in the damn gym. I don't need a cold shower to motivate me to get going. Once you get consistent with training and make it a part of your life, you can't live without it. So the first thing you want to do is train.
Okay, what about no FAP, also known as semen retention?
Oh, bro. And the overemphasis on the toxicity of both masturbation and is without research support, and there's absolutely unhealthy ways and weird relationships you can get into that. The vast minority of people get into that. If that's you, I feel you. That sucks. You should be getting looked at and treatment and backing off. But for most people, good God, it's just normal and it's just not a big deal.
And there's no evidence that that I'm aware of that it like boosts testosterone to a substantial degree over the long term, or that it improves training performance.
Thank you for saying this. NoFap is overrated. I got a good amount of hate for my short saying that NoFap is overrated no matter what your goals are. In this short, I said successful people don't associate their success with NoFap. I haven't found any of them. The only people who might do this are YouTubers trying to make a quick buck off of you. NoFap is very popular with lost men, as it makes them believe they can go from Jeffrey to Leon Edwards with no action involved. And I love what Dr. Michael said, fapping and getting into adult content isn't that bad for most people. What I mean by that is you're not addicted to it to where you can't live without it, to where it's actually causing huge negative impacts to your life. But there are a small minority of people who get into that situation where you need help. I had several instances of doing NoFap, some intended, some just because I don't know why, I just didn't want to do it. And what I learned in my life is that those situations didn't lead me to becoming more successful. Despite what these NoFap timelines made it out to be, where it's just like girls start looking at you and all of a sudden you're just more disciplined and better ideas come to your head. I learned that inaction to do something, aka NoFap, will not cause you to change your life, but action in doing something will, which for me was starting my YouTube channel.
All right, locking out the knees is dangerous.
Go ahead.
There's neither evidence nor rationale for that, and your knees are designed to lock out, and if you control the lockout gently and you don't snap into it like a psycho and turn your muscles off at the end, and you're not one of the people with some sort of laxity disorder, you're gonna be just fine. And you need strong knees.
Again, I think it goes back to people approaching training with a very fragile mindset. They think if they just move in slightly the wrong way, then everything's gonna break and it's gonna be the end of them. It's not true.
The ligaments in your knees are designed to withstand the load of when you straighten out your knee completely. But through my own training and practical analysis, there's really no need to. It takes tension off the quads. You don't do it in real life or in sport. And when I'm doing it in my training, like if I lock out my knees when I'm squatting, it feels very uncomfortable and I feel unstable. So I say it's properly rated because in reality, there's no need to do so. It just makes bodybuilders say they do it so they seem cool. Overall, you can see I agreed with Jeff Nippard and Dr. Michael in a lot of things. And you can use their content to learn certain things. However, optimal bodybuilding and optimal bodybuilders, which I would describe them as, take bodybuilding to such a high extreme that it does more harm than good. I'm actually gonna link my brother's video on the topic, which will be right here. Or if you wanna learn how I structure my workouts, I'll leave that here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.